What is going on, all of you hedgehog fanatics out there in the world? I am Gamster. Thank you for checking out this YouTube video. Whether you are a new or returning viewer, thanks for being here. Appreciate you taking the time to be here. And I wanted to talk about. I don't usually go over rumors, but there's some stuff I want to talk about regarding these rumors that have come out. And I mean, it's a pretty obvious one, but I wanted to discuss it anyway. So we'll start with the rumor itself. Couple days ago, as of this recording, multiple sources were claiming that the sequel to Sonic Frontiers, we're dubbing Sonic Frontiers 2, it's probably not going to be called that, but the sequel is in development. And like I said, this is kind of a no-brainer. Sonic Frontiers was such a it was a turning point for the franchise, kind of like Sonic Adventure was when that game first released. And clearly it stuck. It worked well. For the most part, people had positive things to say about it. There were some issues that we'll get into. But like, it makes sense. It's a new successful thing that worked for Sega, and Sonic Frontiers set the groundwork for modern future Sonic games. And so I kind of wanted to take some time, play the game as well in this video to discuss kind of what I want them to keep from Sonic Frontiers and also improve and change and add to the potential sequel. So before we get into that part, though, I do just want to shout out the rumor here. Apparently multiple insiders. It first came from Daniel RPK, but also corroborated by other people. And then I believe Midori, who's also a prominent Sega leaker, has talked about stuff with like the Sonic Heroes rumor, which I still don't buy, but you never know. And like Persona related news has also come out and backed it up as of the now. But Daniel RPK here on Reddit, being Sonic Frontiers 2 is in development. The name might change. Frontiers was Rangers. That's true. I kind of forgot about that. It was when Sonic Frontiers first leaked on 4chan, like 3 years ago as of this recording, it was referred to as Sonic Rangers when it was in development. And Frontiers, I think, is a much better name. That was a good change. So anything can change. I really don't think that Sonic Frontiers 2 will be the final name of the game. But plenty of people are saying that it seems to be right. But yeah, it's super obvious, honestly. Sorry, Adventure 3 fans, you're never getting that game. Just suck it up now. So with that, let's just jump into kind of what I really enjoyed about this game, because I'll be honest, Sonic Frontiers, I feel like compared to all the games, when I take all the modern games and compile them together, I think it is genuinely one of my favorites. I should actually switch to the footage on my monitor too, so I'm not looking at the other screen the whole time. But it really is a great stepping stone. It is definitely far from perfect. It has a lot of jank. And the main thing I hope that they would fix for a sequel is polish, right? There's a lot of polishing issues with this game, a lot of edges you'll run into, a lot of random glitches here and there. The main thing in terms of, while we're on the topic, technical stuff, is pop it. Especially for a game where you're exploring the open zone. And, there's a lot of different... So just for context for everybody, I have, bit like a madman, I've collected every single... I'm 100% completed this game. I've collected every single medal and all the sorts of stuff in the DLC too. There's going to be spoilers for the DLC and I guess the base game. Just another forewarning. I'm sure you knew that going in. This hat's falling off, so we got to get rid of it. I'm sorry. I tried my best. But like, the pop-in is really bad for a game where, especially when you go up into the sky with all the rails everywhere, like you need to go up and explore in different areas. And unfortunately, a lot of elements don't even show up until you're like not super far. It reminds me of like an N64 game in terms of how bad the pop-in could be. Like, I'm currently streaming DK64 and the pop-in is just as bad as that game. So it's not great. And I'm playing on the Xbox Series X right now, just to clarify, and the pop-in is really not good. And especially for characters like Tails and Knuckles, who they added in the DLC. Like, I was like, okay, well, if they're gonna implement those characters, they have to fix the pop-in. They have to address the pop-in in the patch. And maybe they have, but I feel like it's never really fully been made a lot better. But that's to say, that's probably my biggest technical gripe with this game is the pop-in. It's really not ideal. I don't remember how to light speed dash in this game. I gotta think about it. It's been too long since I played this game. But listen, we're talking about save data. Look, I've got 40 hours. I've got 40 hours in the base game. When you combine the DLC, I have 62 hours. Like, clearly, I really enjoyed this game. So that's my biggest technical gripe with the game. In terms of other stuff I want them to change, I'll talk about adding later because, end on the more positive stuff, right? Definitely some of the boss design, especially in the DLC. I thought the DLC kind of ended on a stinker for me. The boss design I just felt was too janky. I guess that's kind of related to the technical stuff as well. Ooh, look at that popping. Um, but like the supersonic bosses, honestly, I really liked those. They were still kind of janky, but I really did like the premise, and I feel like that was the most fresh a 3D supersonic boss fight has been since Sonic Adventure 1. So that was really cool to see, and they can build upon those, make them these really cinematic, experiences, make them fun to control. The fact that you have Sonic's combo moves in the supersonic form, I think, is still super duper cool. And it's not just dash to win and keep your ring count going. There's more variety in terms of that. Let's go into something that I hope they actually keep, and that is honestly the skill tree. And honestly, here's the thing: I know not everybody's a fan of skill trees, right? That is a very subjective take. I actually enjoy skill trees a lot because it feels like I am slowly progressing over and over. Now, with this game, I mean, Sonic can only have so many moves, so I don't expect it would get much bigger than this. I mean, maybe certain upgrades to make moves stronger could be an incentive, but I really do hope Sonic has a bunch of different abilities like he does in this game, and Sonic and Friends too, because it genuinely, like, there's some really cool stuff. The side loop is a good new interesting move. I don't think it's like amazing. It does work well with the open zone gameplay, so I mean they're probably gonna keep it for the sequel. I would not hate if it left, but it is a good move for, like, circling, getting rings. I mean, getting the infinite rings is always great. That was a really bad infinite boost, but it worked. Let me think of other things that I hope they change. Yeah, so like some of the boss design, like I said, it really mostly comes down to polish. The story I thought was pretty decent, although a bit nonsensical at times. The story was less focused on like a cohesive narrative and more focused on like just like general, like it was pretty fan servicey plot. I mean, when you have Ian Flynn doing a lot of writing for the game, that's bound to happen. Those little nods and references were great, though. It's great to see in a franchise where in the games they don't really acknowledge their past selves most of the time, except for like exceptions like Generations being a Celebration game. It's really cool to see that in the story. But I do feel like part of it came at the cost of not having a super cohesive narrative. So I hope that's something maybe that they can do a little bit better of. But like the open world exploration, open zone, I should say. Like, I know a lot of people aren't necessarily a fan of it. I really like it. Like, I'm someone who's not a huge fan of open world games, but like there's something about running around as Sonic in these different areas and just like, I mean, I went after every single collectible, and like, I'm sure 99% of players didn't do that, and I know I'm a little, there we go, it's clicking the left stick. I'm a little chaotic for that, I know, but like, the fact that I did it, I really enjoyed running around it felt like a big sandbox, a big test ground, and obviously you'd have these different enemies and stuff you can fight, but it's just like, there's so much you can do, and that's what was great, yeah. Ninja took like no time at all. So I do, and I mean, I think that's what they're going to keep. I think they hit the nail on the head with this style of gameplay. There's just a lot of polishing issues to clean up. Maybe streamlining the story, just better design. Another thing, the cyberspace levels are very hit or miss. There are some that are really fun. I like the idea of them pulling level design from older levels. I think for the next game, you need to go full original level design. Part of me is a little nervous about that because some of the level design, especially in the DLC, the Final Horizon DLC, like some of the level design, maybe it was a bit rushed and not fully polished, but like, I don't know, it wasn't, some of those levels weren't great. They're more focused on being shorter and like with multiple different objectives to complete, which I enjoyed that approach. But they're not super memorable as a result. So I guess it depends on what they want to go for. I mean, the open zone is the more memorable part. But I do like having the cyberspace levels to kind of switch up the pace and not make it only open zone gameplay. Now, one thing I do hope they change regarding the open zones is just the locales themselves. I remember when this game was first announced, people were like, oh no, Sonic's running around in default Unreal Engine environment number 1 and 2, you know what I mean? And like, to be fair, like, it kind of feels like that a little bit. I don't think it's horrible. I mean, I think this is a visually appealing game in terms of the environmental detail and stuff like that. I mean, the pop-in kind of obscures that sometimes, but like, I feel like it would be fun to keep the open zone gameplay and maybe have more like I don't know if cartoony is the right word, but less realistic looking environments, less grittier looking environments, and more stuff you'd find in, like, for example, Sonic Dream Team or Sonic Colors, or fun, wacky zones that Sonic has been known for in the past, like a circus themed open zone. You can have a big, and you can make unique challenges and puzzles around that. You can have like a open city zone. You know what I mean? Like that would be like literally have Sonic explore an entire city. You know what I mean? Like that would be really cool, I think. Um, Honestly, this now that I think about the city idea, actually would be perfect. I really hope they do that. That would be a great way to show off a sequel, especially like after capitalizing on the hype of movie 3. But yeah, like the concept itself is great. I think some of the environments, they can make it more wacky and memorable that a lot of in past Sonic games before Frontiers have been known for. But just apply the same layout concept, but for different themes of environments like that. So we're not just getting desert and volcano and grass. I would love an open ice area. They're not going to do it, but I would love an open ice area. Maybe have like, I don't know, maybe have a more like natural region and have like a mountain peak with an ice area. Oh, with snowboarding. Oh, anyways, I'm getting in over my head. That would be great. I do hope that like the ambient music, I actually do like this balance. I like the balance of the ambient music in the open zones to explore it. It fits the exploration really well. And then having the cyberspace levels have the more like in your face blood pumping. It just, that dynamic I think works really well for this game, because then nothing ever feels like the open zone can definitely feel a little bit stale, but like having some cyberspace levels there definitely breaks that up a bit. So definitely do appreciate that, and I hope that's something that they do keep in terms of the music, because I do think the soundtrack is very good. I mean, of course, like the Kellen Quinn songs for the Supersonic boss fights and the main theme are absolutely banging, and I did like the remixes a lot in the Final Horizons DLC. Speaking again of Final Horizons DLC, one thing I hope they do keep is the other cast of Sonic characters, because the main game, of course, was just Sonic, but adding Tails, Knuckles, and Amy as playable characters in Final Horizons was awesome. That was the first time we've had them playable in 3D in so long, since Sonic 06, if we're counting like single player story game, not like side mode multiplayer. And I mean, like in actual gameplay styles, not like Black Knight where they were all just like knights or whatever. I don't know. I still didn't fully play them in that game, but like that was such a cool thing. I hope they're just in the main game, like even if it's just the core cast of them. For what I would love, and this is one thing I'm wondering if they're gonna do in Shadow Cross Sonic Generations, is add Shadow. Either, because the Shadow content I'm sure is going to play similarly to the Sonic content of Sonic Generations, so it probably won't fully be that. Add Shadow in, DLC later on, or in the base game. Add him in, make him playable with his Chaos powers. That is my dream, for Shadow to be playable in this format. Clean up some of the other characters, especially Knuckles was pretty jank in the Horizons DLC. Amy was fun. I liked Amy. Tails is pretty fun. Keep his tornado, please. Keep his Cyclone Tornado flying move. I swear if they remove that, I'm going to be pissed, because that is so much fun. Tails honestly was my favorite of the three, so he played pretty well. But Knuckles, I think they could use some cleaning up with the gliding. Don't make his gliding only limited to certain surfaces, please. Just make him climb wherever. Like we did that back in Adventure 1 and 2. Can we bring that back, please? That would be great. And if they fix the pop in 2, that is going to be the dream right there. In terms of characters, I wonder. I feel like they would bring back Sage, right? I feel like Sage is one of the best supporting characters for Sonic in a long time, and it adds another dynamic to Eggman. I'm staying in the same area. I gotta explore more. It adds another dynamic to Eggman with the whole father figure thing that I never would have thought of, but it's genuinely it's such a good little character arc for him. And to kind of care about Sage that much. I mean, I don't know how they would build upon it with a sequel, but like, I think that's such a cool idea. You know what I mean? To add that that's the most additional character Eggman's gotten since like ever. You know what I mean? Like, that's such a cool thing to add to his character. So I hope they keep that. But yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of, well, they got to bring Big back too. Make Big playable while you're at it, not just the fishing minigame. But in terms of everything else, I'm trying to think if I haven't covered anything. Oh, they got to bring the spin dash back. I mean, all the different abilities, drop dash as well. Hopefully accessibility too, because I mean, having all this accessibility, I mean, Sega themselves said this was the first like user play testing game they've done, which I mean blows my mind on one hand. On the other hand, it makes you appreciate all the different adjustments and accessibility features we have in this game to be able to adjust this for your own, however you want to play in terms of the different sensitivity, acceleration, boost speed, even like stuff like auto combo if you're not good at it, or like making the pairing easier. Um, Definitely, they can get rid of the parry. We don't need the parry, but like, definitely, like keep those options in, right? Keep play testing, see what people like. I mean, now that they've play tested this, going back to the original idea, this really is a stepping stone for the team, like a really good stepping stone. The game itself is really, I personally think it's really good, but obviously that's subjective. But I think it's a good direction for them, and I think the sequel, if you can clean up some of the polish issues, maybe some of the narrative and design issues, like minor issues in the grand scheme of things, the main thing is the polish. You can make this great. Add some more interesting, uniquely Sonic open zones to explore. And then, bring in the characters, the Sonic friends from the get-go, and clean up some of their movesets. Like, you can make this really, really good. I guess final thing, so I don't make this video super duper long. Final thing I would say that they got to improve. More like take something out. Listen, we got to get rid of the double jump. It's time, all right? Colors tried to do it. This is the most important thing. Colors tried to do it. Forces tried to do it. Man, we don't need it in 3D Sonic. We don't. It's so awkward and floaty and stupid, and I hate it. But that's a complaint for another time. Go check out my Sonic ability tier list from several months ago if you're curious about that. One thing I did actually remember, like on a serious note, is the Coco, right? The Coco are literally just the Koroks from Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and Zelda, but way more pointless. Like, yes, if you want to max out some of your abilities, which I did like a weirdo, you can find them, but they're so, I don't know. Like, sure, you can include the Coco because they're part of this world, and I liked kind of the lore they introduced into the games with this one, but like, in terms of collecting them in the overworld, like, either just flat out remove them, or you know what I mean, they felt so pointless. So I don't know. Some of this level design, like up here too, you could probably refine. I don't know. There was a complaint about the grind rails everywhere. Personally, I didn't mind it because it added to the sandbox feel, and I do hope they keep the sandbox feel in the sequel. Like, that is something, I think that's my favorite part about this game overall, is just, the music's great, the little fan service moments are great, but like, just the feeling of exploring this open sandbox as Sonic, to be honest, that's like not something I ever thought I wanted. Adventure 1 in particular, but also kind of 2 gave us a taste of that, but especially Adventure 1 with the hub worlds, and now that it's fully realized, like, that's awesome. Also, you got to bring back the jukebox as well. Like, being able to play whatever songs I want on the overworld, fantastic. Don't limit it to certain maps though, please. Like, let me play whatever song I want on whatever zone I want, for sure. It's just, there's a lot they did right with this game, and I think the big, just to summarize here before I make this video way too long, the big thing is polish. Like, I think that's really the biggest thing that needs to be cleaned up, and honestly, I feel like that's the best thing you can have in terms of improvements, right? This is a really good foundation for 3D Sonic here, is just to have like polishing issues, because yeah, those are things that can be cleaned up. The engine, developers become more familiar with the engine, they can clean up certain things that they discover over time. So like, I really got to commend the team again. I know I have before, but commend the team again for just making a really fresh experience for Sonic, and I hope they're able to build upon what they set in this one and keep refining it. But that is going to do it for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you're excited that, more than likely Sonic Frontiers, the sequel, is in development, what in particular you would like to see carried over from the first game, or changed from the first game into the second to improve, or even added. Like, if there's something I haven't even described in this video, let me know in the comments below. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Keep on rocking. Fearless Year of Shadow, I guess, is the marketing we're going with this year. But we will see what happens. Until next time, everybody, take care.